What's good, ladies and gents? It's your boy Chris in the kitchen one more time, about to make another video for you guys. Last video I made was Popeye's spicy chicken sandwiches, just in case if you're just as salty as I was that every time you rolled up they had none in stock. But today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to make something along the lines of chicken noodle soup, but I like to call it Chris's chicken noodle soup for the soul. I don't know if I can remember the origin of where I got this recipe from, but like it just came back to me in a dream, so I'm just going to go ahead and make it for you guys right now and show you steps by step how to do it, what you need, ingredients, this, that, and the other. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get it. Alright, let's go ahead and start going over your basic ingredients and materials you're going to need for cooking all this stuff. Go ahead and get yourself a 4-quart pot, preferably non-stick. You don't need any of this food sticking on the bottom or anything like that. Ignore the scratches. I just like cleaning my stuff really hard sometimes. Go ahead and make sure you get yourself some boneless, skinless chicken breasts. Get you some chicken bouillon cubes. 1 whole box of whatever pasta you like. I mean, it doesn't really matter what shape or flavor, blah blah blah. You know, it's pasta. It can be chicken noodles. You can go with the old-fashioned, you know, noodles pasta. Or today, I'm going with rotini. Seasoning galore. Make sure you season up that chicken. You don't have to necessarily use the exact same seasoning that I'm using right now. Get your own seasoning. Go ahead and make sure you add that onto the list. Get yourself a half a stick of butter, whatever brand you prefer. And lastly, get yourself some celery and some carrots. Whoops, almost forgot the chicken broth. Make sure you have that too. Before we continue, who'd like to volunteer to tell me the first thing any chef should do in the kitchen before preparing any meal of any kind?
Oh, me, over here, pick me, right here, pick me, dog, pick me, dog, I know it.
Oh, yes, sir, yes, you right there, tell me, what is the first thing you need to do?
Is it wash your hands?
Yes, sir, you are absolutely right. Wash your nasty hands. And after all that, let's get it. Alright guys, we're going to start things off by getting our chicken seasoned and prepared. In preparing your chicken, you want to go ahead and make sure you wash these things off. Depending on the size of your chicken breast, you probably only need about like 3 of them. Because if you hadn't noticed, these right here are some big old chicken breakfasts. After you wash them, you want to make sure you scrub off and tear off any excess fat on them. Make this as nice and neat as possible before you start putting your seasoning on. See, now I shouldn't have to tell you if you're already an experienced cook on your own right, but make sure you season that thing up front and back. Make sure you got that thing all nice and marinated. So, like I said, let's go ahead and let this marinate for a second while we go on to the next project. You want to go ahead and grab that pot that we talked about in the beginning of the video. Fill it up to about halfway, and then set your temperature for your stove on high. Set it on high, let it ride, wait for it to start boiling, and that's when we're going to throw our marinating chicken in. That's the primary cooking process for the chicken before we go into the next step. I don't know if your grandma, your mammy, or your grandmammy, or whoever you've been raised by taught you anything about boiling water, but in this household, we put a little bit of salt up in that thing, let that thing boil up right quick, you know what I'm saying? Usually helps out. Now, with your chicken submerged, you want to let it sit there and boil for about a good 15 to 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes, depending on the size of your chicken breast. And as you can tell, since the size of those chicken breasts were actually quite large, we're going to go toward the more 20-25 minute route. Now while your chicken's boiling, let's go ahead and get to the next step of the recipe. We're going to go ahead and get our vegetables, your carrots and your celery over here. Make sure you wash them off in the sink before you do anything, because you know how that goes. Food contaminants, all that good stuff. You don't want to get sick by this stuff. It's not pretty. Now that you got your vegetables all nice and clean, let's go ahead and chop them things up. If you're wondering how much of the vegetables you need that's chopped, it depends on how large of the serving size that you're trying to do. Primarily, if you're just doing for a standard family of 2, I would suggest maybe 1 cup, 2 cup max. But this probably, as you can tell, is going to be like approximately 4 cups of these chopped vegetables, because we do it big over in this house. So give me one moment. And just like that, I chopped up the celery, and I looked at the carrots and I thought, you know what, maybe I don't have to chop them up that much because they're already in a decent size that I would like to have in a soup anyway. So we're gonna go ahead and go with that. Okay guys, the chicken is almost done boiling. I hadn't showed it on camera because of the editing, but I want you guys to know that it's imperative that you clean off your surfaces wherever you had raw foods or vegetables and stuff like that. Make sure you clean off any utensils you use to cut the food, prepare it, whatever, because cross-contamination is a thing. And I'm telling you, I know I showed in the video that I cut and seasoned the chicken in the same area, but I cleaned it, I sanitized it, I made sure everything was on point, and I hope you guys will do the same, because I don't need any of you guys getting sick, especially with COVID-19 going around. We should go ahead and have our boiled chicken over here. The first thing you want to do is make sure these things are done, and I've already done it, but I'm going to tell you how to do it. Make sure you get yourself a temperature, a food thermometer. Stab the thickest part of that chicken and make sure that it is 160 degrees Fahrenheit for an internal temperature, and that is how you know that your chicken is done. Now, once you verify that your chicken is done, which these are, you want to go ahead and either rip these into shreds or cut them however you like for your chicken soup. Now that you got your chicken cut up, torn apart, however you want to do it, now we have to go in and take the pot that they were boiling in, pour out the excess water, and clean it out, because we're going to use this pot now to begin the broth. But in the meantime, make sure you set it to the side somewhere in a safe place or something. Once you go ahead and got your pot all cleaned out, go ahead and drop in there half a stick of butter. And obviously you want to have your butter set at a low setting, because you know you don't want to burn it. Now that your butter melted, go ahead and pour in 4 cups of your chicken broth and about 2 more cups of water. Then mix in 3 chicken bouillon cubes. Now you want to crank up the heat and bring it to a simmer right quick to make sure everything is all mixed properly. If it gets to a point where you think you might need a bit more water, feel free to add more water by the cup, but for every 2 cups you put in an extra bouillon cube so you don't lose any flavor. Once you got everything all mixed up and simmered, you want to go ahead and first throw in your pasta. You want to follow that up with your vegetables. Stir it up a little bit and then you go ahead and add your chicken. Now what you're going to do is go ahead and let all that simmer together. For about how long? Well, it's really depending on how fast your noodles cook. You want to go ahead and let your noodles, or at least let this process and cook to the point where your noodles are about at noodles, pasta, whatever, are about at an al dente kind of texture. You know, not too squishy, but not too firm either. Just make sure you check back on this periodically. You know what I'm saying? Like every 2 to 3 minutes, you come back and stir it up after you put the lid on top, and we'll see the final result whenever it's done. Set that lid on there, and we'll come back in about a good maybe 10 minutes or so. Alright, after a good bit of simmering, stirring every 1-2 minutes and whatnot, a good, I want to say maybe 6 to 10 minutes has passed, and we're going to take a look at our final product here. Oh man, look at that. Oh, look at that. That looks so good, doesn't it? Oh my god, look at that. You want to go ahead and bring it off the heat at this point now, because if anything, you're going to end up making your noodles soggy, and you don't want that. But check this out, guys. Look at that. Now that is some chicken noodle soup for the soul right there. Well, honestly, I don't know if I can tell if it's a soup or it's a stew. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think this might be a stew. Yeah, Chris's chicken stew for the soul. Yeah, that sounds good to me. But anyway, this is what your final product should look like. And don't be afraid if it doesn't. It's probably going to still taste good anyway, because I believe in you, because I know you're all talented chefs in your own right anyway. So without any further ado, I hope you guys enjoy. Make sure you say some for anybody who wants some, and I'm pretty sure a good bit of my friends will be asking me why didn't I say some of this for them. But until next time, peace.